Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Leanne, and if you're new here, I do a lot of uncommon plant content. So today's video was a requested video to do a beginner-friendly or semi-advanced Leca video, just how to generally, how to start off and later on what to do when it comes to nutrient water and things like that. So let's get into the video. So I brought to the table a few examples of plants that I have in Leca. This one just got added to Leca a few days ago, so it's very new. But this is an example of a type of container you can have it in. So this is just a simple glass mason jar from Dollarama, and it has no drainage holes. So right now it's got plain water sitting in the bottom reservoir. Since it's a new plant, I'm not going to shock it with nutrients because it still has to acclimate to the Leca, and then later on I can mess with the nutrients. So the way I would empty this reservoir is just cover the top and drain out the water that's down there. And later on, if this does do well in Leca, which I'm thinking it will, I will start using the nutrient water, which I'll show you in a sec. That's my Hoya obovata in a Leca glass jar. And then my other example of how you could do Leca is this Alocasia fried egg I have in a different, same Leca, just a different setup. So I have a clear nursery pot with lots of drainage holes at the bottom and a terracotta glazed, what do you call this again? A saucer, that's what it's called. So I have the saucer filled up as much as I can. In a perfect world, this saucer would be a little deeper because technically the reservoir needs to be at least a third of the way up. So I wish I was able to put more water into the reservoir, but sadly I don't have a saucer right now that can hold that much. So this will have to do for now. So same thing with this guy, he is new to Leca, so I will not be using nutrient water for a while until he acclimates to the Leca. And I will keep topping off the reservoir. I personally don't let my reservoirs go completely dry, so I see that the water level gets low, I just fill it right back up to a third of the way. So next I will go into how to set up your plant in Leca. So when I set this guy up, I start with the brand new Leca, which I personally get from IKEA. It's a relatively big bag. It's like about that big when it's full. And this is about $12, which is a pretty decent price. Leca will be more expensive than soil in general. So that's where I get my Leca from. In the bag, there's lots of clay dust in it, so you want to make sure that when it's new from the bag, you want to rinse it. And I personally use just not boiled water, but I boil water, just not all the way because I'm too lazy. So I'll stop at I'll use my kettle and I'll stop at 70 degrees or whatever it's in, Fahrenheit, Celsius, I can't remember. I think it's Celsius, yeah. So I'll just, halfway boil water. That way it's hot enough to kind of clean it in some way, but I'm not necessarily disinfecting it. It's not like I have to get out bacteria or something. Like if you are reusing Leca that's been used in a plant before, you definitely want to disinfect it just in case there's any bacteria or viruses that can transfer over, or pests or anything. So you definitely want to disinfect your reused Leca and rinse and clean your brand new Leca. So I could possibly insert a video of me doing this. If I don't, I will just really quickly explain how I do it. So how I rinse and clean my brand new Leca is I will just take however much Leca I need for a certain plant. So let's say if I was doing this one, I would just fill it up to about how much Leca I need, which is the whole container. So I'll just scoop that out. Definitely don't let the water running off the Leca to go in your drain, because I've heard it can possibly clog your pipes. So not good for plumbing. So definitely use some kind of bowl to catch the runoff water. So after I rinse it a couple times, you'll see the first rinse will be definitely like really brown, like similar color to what the leca is. And then once I pass hot water through and I keep rinsing it, it slowly comes out like just regular clear water. So once you get to that point, you know your leca is clean enough to use in your plant. Some people do boil water when they first get the leca. They boil it like the first time they're using it. I personally don't. Maybe it's because I'm lazy, but anyways. So that's what I do to prep it. Next, what you're going to do when you're first putting a new plant into leca is you're going to fill up your nursery pot or glass jar, whatever you're using, about 1/3 of the way of leca, just pure leca. After you do that, you're going to take your plant, position it how you want it, and just fill in leca around it. So you want to make sure the first third of the pot is just leca only, no roots, because the point of leca is to have lots of air circulation so that the water can be wicked up by the leca and absorbed by the roots. You don't want the roots just sitting in water because there's no point of using the leca in the first place. You might as well have the plant just sitting in plain old water. So now that you know how to put a plant into leca, I will go into talking about like what you do after that. So if I have a brand new plant in leca, what I usually do is I fill up the reservoirs with just plain water because the plant is still acclimating to the leca. You don't need nutrients in the first little while. I would say wait about a month till you see if the plant's doing well in leca. If you think it is, then you can go ahead and start with small doses or small amounts of nutrients in your nutrient water. So that is how. Oh, also, so if you have leca, I personally don't let my reservoir go dry. So if this plant, I notice the water level at the bottom go low, I will just top it up with more. And I also, for the record, use Brita water because that is just my preferred way to do it. But yeah, some people do let their reservoir dry out completely and then refill it. I just find it easier to top it up, but that's just my method. You can do probably either or. There's lots of other videos of leca on YouTube and people doing it slightly different than I do. Everybody has their own method. I'm not here to say this is exactly how you should do it. I'm just showing you how I personally do it. So with that out of the way, now I can talk about more advanced, like the next step in the leca system, I guess. So I will put this aside and talk about my nutrient water. So personally, I have taken this distilled water jug, which used to have distilled water in it, and I just filled it up with my Brita water all the way to the top. So your leca nutrients you're going to want to use after your plant is fully acclimated to the leca. And yeah, so you're just gonna want to use your nutrient water. So how to prep your nutrient water. You're going to want to buy a full system of nutrients. So I personally got mine at Holland Park Greenhouses in Hamilton. You can get yours off Amazon or a hydroponic store. I find hydroponic store a little bit expensive or cheaper. I haven't really compared prices. Maybe I shouldn't say that. Honestly, just go wherever you go. You can compare prices on your own. Mine I got at Holland Park and they were $12 a bottle, so not cheap, but anything regarding leca is not going to be cheap. So the first nutrient in your general 3-part nutrient system is going to be your micro. So micronutrient, I'm not going to be all sciencey. I have no idea what it does. I just know that I need to use it. So they don't usually come with syringes, so I did purchase these on Amazon separately. They were just 10 ml syringes that have no needles. They're just like regular plastic syringes you use for like medication for your pets or something, if you've ever seen those. So it's just a, regular old syringe. So yeah, so I got my first one, which is micro, and then I have the second one, which is called grow. And the reason why I'm saying first, second, and third is that there's actually a proper way to mix your solution. So this nutrient is actually very important for it to go in first. This one goes in second, and your last one, number 3, your bloom nutrient will go in last. So it's very important that you do it in that sequence. It's very important that you do it in that sequence because there's something called nutrient lockup or nutrient lock, which happens basically you put them in the wrong order and they don't function well, like they'll cancel each other out, so the nutrient water won't do anything. This is what I've heard. I'm not quite sure what that does. I just follow the directions and do 1, 2, 3, and I know I'm, safe. So when you mix your solution, you definitely want to make sure you have a full gallon of water. That way you know how much to mix. So this is a gallon, so that makes it easy for me because the measurements are in gallons for these specific bottles. So I start with my Brita water, and then I will go ahead and add the first one. You want to make sure to mix your nutrients really well before you start adding it in. Once you add the first amount in, so you're going to want to start with a small dose. So the smallest dose on here is for seedlings and cuttings. So I just use that dose on even big plants because they're not used to the nutrients, so I want to start them off slowly and then build up over time. So for this water that I have mixed right now, it actually has a 1/4 teaspoon of each nutrient in this water. So it's very low dose, but that way I won't shock my plants. So I would suggest starting off small and then working your way up as time goes and your plants get more used to the nutrients. So you start off with your micro. You want to make sure after you've put the nutrients in, you give your water a really good shake, just because nutrients can settle in at the bottom and you're not going to get an even concentration. So you want to make sure you shake, and then you shake this bottle, put your amount in, you shake this again really well to make sure everything's all nice and mixed. Same thing with this one, mix this, put it in, mix this. So same process for each. So when you're done with all that, I'm not exactly sure how long the nutrient water is good for. I've had this nutrient water mixed for quite some time, and I use it on, all of my plants that have been in Leca for a while. So it lasts quite a long time, so this isn't like a pain to mix because it lasts so long. So I don't really have any issues with that. So, trying to think of anything else I need to mention. Micro, grow, bloom. There's lots of different, variations of this system, but generally they do come in 3 parts, because if you don't use 3 parts, you'll get like insufficient nutrient, system. Let me think. Do I have anything else to say about Leca? Oh, so some people also pH test their water. I personally have a pH test system, but I don't always use it. So I know that the system I have right now, I know that my Brita water combined with the small dosage of the nutrients that I put into my water comes up to about 5.5 pH, which I know that is good for plants. If you do want to pH test your water, go ahead and do it. Some people do every single time, but I know from experience what the pH will come up to usually. I'll just show you what it looks like. So mine is a Root Farm pH test. I got this from Canadian Tire. You just get a thing to put the water in, and then you get your drops that indicates and turns the water a certain color, and then you'll know by the chart which pH level it is. So you can definitely do that. Lots of people do it. I don't do it all the time, but I do it sometimes, just to double check that things are still what I think they are. And then another additive you can look into, this is extra, you don't need to go buy this. It's not the cheapest thing in the world. You definitely don't need to invest, but if you want to, you can get Super Thrive. So Super Thrive is everybody's using it in plant world, in the plant community. So this is a bottle of a root development liquid concentrate. It also reduces transplant shock, builds plant vigor, promotes chemical balance. So there's quite a few things. I personally like adding this when I'm just transitioning new plants to Leca because it kind of helps ease the transition so that the plant doesn't freak out as much. So I would recommend this if you want to go the extra mile, but it's not something you really need, but it's a good thing to have if you're finding that your plants are having a hard time acclimating to the Leca. So that is, I think, the extent of my Leca knowledge, unless I'm leaving anything out. Oh, so just one thing I wanted to mention. One mistake that I made that definitely hurt some of my plants was that I didn't leave a large enough reservoir, and I didn't put the Leca a proper third of the way. So don't be shy. Like, you say like third of the way of this container, I hope you can see this, is really like halfway would be here, so a third would be like right about there. Like, don't be afraid to put a third Leca and a third water reservoir, because that will really benefit the plant. Because I've had instances where I either didn't put a high enough reservoir or a high enough Leca, like the third of the way has to be Leca. So I've put it like less than a third, like a quarter of the way, when the roots are sitting too much in water, and I didn't get the full benefit of what the Leca does in the first place. So I would definitely recommend make sure you do that third Leca third of the way, and make sure you do the third water reservoir. That will definitely, it's a learning curve, but I mean, that'll definitely help you in transitioning to Leca if you don't like soil like me. So I think that's it for today. I hope I didn't miss anything. I hope I didn't lose you guys, because this is quite an extensive informational video. But if you did like it, go ahead and leave me a thumbs up. If you dislike it, that's okay too. Like, either way, it tells me what you guys enjoy to watch, which is totally fine. I want to give a big thank you also to my new subscribers. I believe in the last couple weeks, or the last week, I gained, I think, 8 subscribers, and that's amazing. I appreciate all you guys' support, and I really enjoy making these videos, so definitely comment any future video ideas. I love having recommendations because it's way easier for me to decide which videos to make. I would really love that from you guys. So if you like what you see, go ahead and subscribe, and I will see you in my next one. Bye, guys.